Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob with Instinct Bass, and thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I'm gonna go over my basically 1 year review of the Garmin LVS34 Livescope Plus system. I've had it on the boat for almost a year now, and I thought I'd go ahead and give my impressions of what I've thought of it over that course of the year. Real quick, before we get started, I encourage you to check out the GPSstore.com. They've been our partner for the year, and they have helped out the channel tremendously. I sure would appreciate it if you gave them a visit. Black Friday's coming up, the holidays are coming up. It's a great time to buy a fish finder, so be sure to check them out. I'll leave a link down below. Again, the GPSstore.com. Thanks so much for checking out. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so real quick, I thought I'd go over what my setup currently is, just so you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. So I've got the LVS34 Livescope Plus system. It's currently in forward mode. I've got it paired with the Garmin Force trolling motor. There's my wiring job, which isn't the best. I need to kind of tighten this up a little bit, but you know, you wanted to leave some slack and stuff in it. I did do an installation video a while back, so be sure to check that out. I'll leave it linked down below as well. I'm still rocking the 73 SV and the 93 SV. I'm using the 93 SV for the Livescope. It's a little bit small nowadays for Livescope. If I was recommending a unit for Livescope, I would probably go no smaller than a 106, which is what I have on the console over there. So that's kind of the setup I've got. In the rod locker, I've got a separate battery. It is a lithium ion amped out 32 amp hour battery that I only have going to the Livescope and to the Garmin network box. I don't have it going to these. I have read that you should have the ground cable going to the same ones, or to the unit and the Livescope. I have not run into any issues having it the way I have it, so I've just left it alone. But that is just something to keep in mind when you're doing this setup. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and give my impressions of this unit. Like I've said, I've had it for about a year now. I am in Florida, so I use perspective mode quite a bit, probably 80 to 90% of the time. So I fish shallow water, and we're talking, you know, I consider shallow water anything less than 10 feet deep. Typically, I'm fishing even much shallower than that. So perspective mode works great for me. I do, on occasion, go to forward mode when I'm fishing a little bit deeper, or if I'm trying to fish some structure that I've identified, first with my side view, then with my down view, mark that structure, and then come back around and fish it that way. So I do that on occasion, and it has been effective in that regard as well. And so this honestly might be kind of a boring review, because I really have no complaints with the unit whatsoever. I haven't run into any issues with you know, it cocking the wrong way or anything like that. I did do a video a while back about how often I update my unit. I installed this, like I said, almost a year ago. I have not updated it since. I am a firm believer that there's no use to do updates unless something's not working right, especially on these units. If you go on your Facebook Garmin groups, you'll see a lot of times that people have issues with updates after the update, and then they'll have to call Garmin and get them a new unit sent out and all that kind of stuff. I've read about all that. I have not run into any of those issues myself, so take that for what it's worth. That's just my advice going forward, is just be careful when you update these units. Make sure you know what the update's going to do, whether it's going to cause any issues or anything like that. And so for my opinion, I haven't really had any issues with the unit whatsoever. I stay in perspective mode most of the time, and I just haven't run into any of the problems that I've read about other people having. It did take me a little bit to get used to being, you know, flipping back and forth between perspective and forward mode and knowing how to set it up and whatnot. But other than that, I haven't had any issues. As far as my settings go, I pretty much kept it the same as they are right out of the box. The only thing I really did is just turn the gain down a little bit. I think I turned it down to about 59 to 60, depending on the water clarity and what I'm dealing with that day. But really, that's worked best for me. I feel like a lot of folks may run into issues the more they start playing around with the settings and all that kind of stuff. I just haven't run into any of those issues, so I haven't needed to. It could be a factor of where I fish or the conditions I fish in, or maybe I've just been lucky. But for my opinion, you know, I couldn't be happier with the unit. I haven't run into any issues with it whatsoever. Like I said, I don't have a comparison for the 32 because I've never had the 32. This 34 was my first one. I know a lot of folks use the 32 still, especially for crappie fishermen. That seems to be one that they prefer for some reason. Again, I don't know that because I don't crappie fish. but the 34 has been great for me. This amped out 32 amp hour battery has been great as well. I go out anywhere between 6 and 8 hours most days, or a little bit longer if I'm fishing a tournament, and haven't run into any voltage issues or anything like that. The one thing that I will say is if you do hook these up, hook the your Livescope battery to the Livescope itself, and then your fish finders to the cranking battery, when you read the voltage off of your fish finders, naturally it's going to be reading off of the cranking battery. So if I see 12 volts, I have to keep myself in mind that that's the cranking battery that I'm looking at, and I probably have a little bit more than that based on this amped out 32 amp hour battery. So that's just something I deal with, but it's really not that big a deal. So that's just something else to keep in mind, that if you do run them separately, that you will get the reading off of the one that it's actually that the fish finder is hooked up to. And so again, I haven't run into any issues with it. I highly recommend it. I've never used the LVS32, so I can't really compare on that. I do recommend that LVS34. It's still the cream of the crop and the way to go if you're looking for a Livescope system. Be sure to check out the GPSstore.com, because they've got some great deals on these systems where they will throw in a unit plus the system and then give you an overall discount on it, especially with Black Friday coming up. Also, be sure to get your colon cancer screening. I want to make sure I repeat that. It's definitely important, especially for men over 40 or women over 40 as well. And even earlier, because a lot of times people in their early 40s are getting diagnosed with cancer. So I've just seen a couple of actors. My brother has it, and he's currently battling through that. So definitely keep him in your prayers. So without further ado, again, that's my review, my 1 year review of the LVS34. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out the GPSstore.com. This is Rob with Instinct Bassin. Trust your gut, and I'll see you on the water.